Fallacies, fake news, and manipulative speech are interconnected because they all aim to influence people through disordered reasoning or information. Fallacies represent errors in logic that make arguments appear valid when they are not, while fake news consists of intentionally false or misleading information presented as fact. Manipulative speech works as the delivery method relying on emotional triggers such as fear, guilt, or flattery to make weak arguments and misinformation more convincing.
Love bombing, an intense process of luring someone in by showering them with affection, praise, and attention. It creates an immediate sense of belonging and validation. The foot in the door technique, a compliance strategy that involves getting a person to agree to a large request by first having them agree to a modest one. The commitments start small and escalate gradually. Loaded language and redefining terminology. It consists in creating a unique vocabulary that reframes concepts to control thought. This language is incomprehensible to outsiders, fostering an us versus them mentality and making criticism sound irrational. Isolation, systematically cutting members off from their former support systems, family or friends, who might offer dissenting viewpoints or encourage them to leave.
6. Gaslighting, a form of psychological abuse where a person is manipulated into doubting their own perception, memory, and sanity. 7. Mystical manipulation and spiritual revelation. The leader claims to have access to spiritual knowledge, wisdom, or powers that are unavailable to others. This positions them as an infallible prophet whose commands must be obeyed without question. 8. Fear, guilt, and shame. Keeping members in a perpetual state of fear of the outside world, guilt for not doing enough, and shame for their inner flaws. These are at self-worth, making them feel they need the leader and the group for redemption. And 9. Induced exhaustion, depriving members of sleep and keeping them in a constant state of activity or stress. This impairs critical thinking, weakness, emotional resilience, and increases suggestibility.
The US was still deeply shaken by the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001. Public opinion strongly supported strong military action against terrorism, and Bush's administration sought to harness this fear and anger in its foreign policy. It was not just a military announcement, it framed a moral justification for war. Bush positioned the invasion as necessary to protect the US, liberate Iraqis, and advance democracy in the Middle East. This framing, combined with the use of fallacies and manipulative rhetoric, was critical in building domestic support for a controversial war.
Number 1. Construction of the enemy and us versus them division. Bush employs a clear strategy of othering, presenting the US as peaceful and civilized, as opposed to a demonized Iraqi regime, described as dictatorial, murderous, illegitimate, and associated with terrorism. This polarization simplifies the narrative and triggers an emotional response against evil. Number 2. Generating fear and a sense of imminent dread. Shocking images are used. Mushroom clouds, fear of biological weapons in Saddam's hands, as a danger that justifies immediate action. This appeal to fear seeks to mobilize emotional support rather than rational analysis. Number 3. Slippery slope or fantastic slide. It argues that waiting until the threat is imminent would be too late, a false dilemma. Either we attack now or we will be defeated later. It ignores intermediate or diplomatic options. And number 4, long-term effect and subsequent criticism. The New Yorker noted that Bush built an idealistic rhetoric around democracy and anti-terrorism, but that reality proved otherwise. Unplanned combat exacerbated the conflict and terrorism.